Olympic Primary School is one of the few public schools in Kibra, and every morning, 5,600 students walk into the school. Despite the huge student population, a parent can still secure mid-year admission for their child. One afternoon in late June, I went to request for admission for a grade 2 student.
Ujaza hiyo form alafu utamleta kwa full school uniform na 3,500.
Atina?
3,500.
Oh, okay.
Atakuja vipi?
Mildred Achieng, a mother of 3 who lives in Karanja in Kibra, enrolled her children in Olympic Primary School because she could not afford to take them to a private school. She, however, has concerns about the overcrowding in the school.
Shida yenye kwa Olympic, watoto ni wengi. Walimu naye ni wachache, but masomo iko sawa. Cause Olympic kuna stream 9. Na hizi stream, per each class iko na 9 stream. Per each stream iko na watoto 100 and above.
The high number of students at Olympic Primary School, according to Achieng, extends to facilities like the toilets, which is said are inadequate for the students.
Kwa toilets, shule ni ndogo na toilets pia ni kidogo. So unapata stream, those stream zenye iko 9 stream, wako na toilet chache sana. So there is a lot of infections. Kama wasichana, wako na shida hizi za kujikuna. Cause unjui ule mtu mwenye ametumia hicho, ako na infection gani. So more infection iko kwa wasichana sana. Yeah. So ningeomba tu toilet pia iongezwe.
The government's directive not to turn away children seeking admission has led to high enrollment in schools, hence putting pressure on existing infrastructure in schools. According to Chisanya, an education expert, this goes against the basic standard requirements for school registration.
So whether it's a public institution, whether it's a private institution, we have what we call the registration guidelines. And the guidelines provides for how you need to register, first of all, to operate as an entity. Because when you say you are an institution or a school, the business you are doing is the business of education. And who are you trading with? You are trading with children who are Kenyan citizens, but children belonging to certain people. So you must follow certain principles, certain regulations for you to adhere to what is supposed to be run in school. So under the registration guidelines, any institution or any proprietor who says, I want to start an institution, you are supposed to officially apply. The application is done now. It used to be at the national level, but it was decentralized up to what we call the County Education Board.
The basic standard requirement for registration of schools has guidelines on infrastructure, including land, size of classrooms, water and sanitation, and health and safety measures. For classrooms, the guidelines recommend that each student needs at least 1.2 square meters, with a classroom measuring 8 by 6 meters to cater for 40 students.
When it comes to a pollution blocks, if it's a boating facility, we have the toilets or the pit latrines, we have the shower rooms. So depending on the institution you are running, all those standards are provided, including the teachers, the number of matrons, the fire equipment in the school, the play facility. So all those form part of the registration, and they are the things that we do evaluate to see. Yes, you want to start a school, you have 500 learners. Do you have adequate tuition facility? Tuition facility means the classrooms, the office, the administration block, the library, all that is required.
Upon application, the County Education Board sends officials to assess whether a school has met these requirements. As Chisanya stated, school registration is an elaborate process.
They will send sub-county quality assurance officers with other officers to the school to come and do assessment, whether you meet the standards that are required for you to do, to run an institutions. Once that file has been compiled, it will now be tabled to the County Education Board, who have the mandate now of approving all the schools within the county. The County Education Board is also mandated to do a visit to the school, to come and verify the assessment was done, has been signed by the county, sub-county or county quality assurance, plus the sub-county director and other officers, relevant officers, including the public health. So in the evaluation process, we have a number of stakeholders who are involved. So there is the quality assurance and standards officer who look at the quality and standards issues. And the standards issues range from the infrastructure, which is the tuition facilities.
Despite this elaborate process, you will still find schools mostly in urban areas, the likes of Olympic Primary School in Kibra or Mwiki Primary School in Kasarani, having enrollments of 5,600 and 4,800 respectively, and ready to receive more in adherence to the government's call to admit all. This has led to a teacher deficit now at over 100,000, according to an assessment by Zizi Afrique Foundation and Usawa Agenda.
The government came up with what we call 100% transition, where every learner is supposed to go to school, regardless whether they will sit under a tree or whether they will be in a classroom. So that poses a challenge, where now we are saying we are enrolling all the learners in school, but we do not have enough infrastructure to handle. So that the overcrowding issue comes in that level, where we are now having a classroom having 100 plus learners who are supposed to be managed by the same teacher in 35 minutes for a lesson. You cannot manage.
This jeopardizes the implementation of policies and guidelines, like the basic standard requirements for registration and the school health and safety regulations, among others, which Shisanya said are perfect policies.
I think it's more of emphasizing on the implementation. We have very good policies. Like I mentioned, we have school safety and health guidelines. We have registration guidelines, which I've been working on. I've done capacity building in almost 7 counties. What we are looking at is, can people implement what we already have so that we can see the gaps? Because once we implement is when we realize there's a gap here which needs to be addressed. But if you have a policy that is lying in the shelf, we will not tell whether there's a gap, whether we need to change or not. That's the big problem we have.
Professor Samson Gunga, a professor of philosophy of education at the University of Nairobi, said that having a high student population in schools without the infrastructure to match is a health hazard.
One health issue that needs to be taken care of is that there should be adequate ventilation, for instance. So good ventilation is vital for health, and it actually enhances concentration of learners. And for example, if in a dusty environment where there is no ventilation in a learning space, then you expect those airborne pathogens to exist there. You expect pollutants cannot be cleared because there is no air circulation. So there will be risk of, for instance, respiratory infections to learners, and learners experiencing allergies that are related to the environment. And overcrowding also goes outdoors. In fact, that one is indoor. Outdoors, we want good sanitation. So if there is overcrowding and we need adequate water for these many students, we need adequate sanitation, especially for the girls. We need running water because they have those conditions, the menstrual. And school environment does not allow for privately handling their issues, then they will certainly not come to school anyway.
Additionally, overcrowding in schools can also have an impact on the child's mental health. Lewis Karanja, a child psychologist, said that overcrowding in school suppresses a child's development.
There is a main concern when it comes to overcrowding, because overcrowding, it's like you're putting a lot of pressure on a child, because ideally for a child, they're supposed to thrive in a safe space, a space where they can be able to share, they can be able to laugh, they can be able to play as a child. Now, when you decide to overcrowd a child, it means that they are not able to express themselves, they are not able to be who they want to be. So it has more psychological problems or issues Yes, because that child will not be able to express themselves. They'll feel like they're having a lot. It's just like an adult when you're overcrowded in a matatu. You feel like there's no air, you feel irritable, you feel angry, you want to just get off the matatu. Now it's the same way.
Inadequate funding by government has led to the current debacle, where there is inadequate infrastructure in public schools. This also extends to the inadequate capitation, funds per student disbursed to school.
Capitation is allocated per learner, from exercise book to tuition to wherever, all the learning. When we talk about free education, it means I'm supposed to provide for you from A to Z. But you look at the capitation, if I give you 1,400 and I ask you to tabulate that for your expense for the year, not even a week, not even a day. So you realize the capitation is what we've been complaining, it's very inadequate.
Shisanya calls for the decongestion of the schools for the sake of the health of the learners and the provision of quality education. He believes that more students should be enrolled in rural schools which have more land.
So unless we deal with the population, we decongest and say, in Kibera, we're going to build more schools, more public schools, let's say 5 public schools. Then we are saying we'll be dealing with those issues of health, issues of indiscipline, issues of safety. Because we have now a school that can be able to have 2,000 instead of having 5,000 learners.
Despite our attempt, the Ministry of Education did not respond to our request for comment by the time of this publication. Anthony Langat for Willow Stories.